Is a Rover 75 2.5 litre V6, whereas this looks almost exactly the same, but it's an MG ZT 2.5 litre V6. That's right, they both use the same engine and they have a very, very similar power output. My personal choice of these two cars would always be the Rover rather than the MG, and that's quite simply because the Rover is a gentleman's car. It's got soft leather seats, it's got an albeit but fake wooden dash and chrome and all these other bits of things that made Rover classy in the first place. It also has softer suspension and a much more forgiving and comfortable ride. You can take this on a journey and enjoy it and not be uncomfortable. Can you do that with the ZT? The MG is basically the same car, but with bigger wheels and bigger brakes and hard suspension and a boomerang sticking out of the boot. And all of the lovely bits that make the Rover special gone, replaced with plastic. This one actually has leather seats, but the early ones never did. They just had plastic seats. What's sporty about plastic? With its plastic dash and the crack on the windscreen, it's just not quite the same car. There was more than one variant of the ZT, and this is the special one. This is the 190 plus version. What does the plus mean? Not much really. It's got a couple of extra bits on there that probably should have been on there in the first place. 190 brake horsepower. But you really do have to work hard to get that. 190 brake horsepower out of a 2.5 litre isn't massively impressive. Oh, two pipes! And because this car is based on the Rover 75 in the first place, which has BMW suspension, everything will need replacing every 6 months or so. That sounds like such a negative thing to say. I'm not really saying anything very nice about this car. I will do now though. I'll tell you what I like about it. I like the way it looks. Always like the way it looks. They've always been a fantastic car to look at, and they always will be. The one thing about the Rover 75 that looks a little bit dopey was the front end, but the front end of the ZT, very, very mean and purposeful. It looks like it's going to be a really fast car. 18-inch alloys, big brakes, de-chromed bits and Rover 25 mirrors. The ZT is quite a big car, which means that you should be comfortable in the back. But seriously, would you be comfortable in the back of there? I've never understood how they got this bit so wrong. I mean, just look at that. The headroom's okay, but there's just nowhere for me to put the rest of my body. And I can't exactly leave it behind anywhere, even when I'm not important enough to be driving the thing. I should not be struggling to get out of the back of a big saloon car as much as that. No.
What are you doing, man?
What's wrong with your seatbelts?
Nothing's wrong with my seatbelt. What's wrong with you?
Couldn't get the seatbelt on.
What's wrong with these seatbelts?
You'll get your belt on either now. Well,
the seats sit a lot lower in this than they do in the 75, and the overwhelming feeling I get, if you click, in this is that like I'm driving my dad's car.
Oh, this feels like a Rover 75, but the difference is,
I like that one.
Correct me if I'm wrong, it has a quicker steering rack.
It does, yeah.
And with
the steering rack will do 0 to 60 inside of 7 seconds.
Right, okay, let's stick to a sensible point here. Stop ruining my videos. Yeah, rack is a bit quicker. The suspension is a bit harder. The wheels are a bit bigger. The exhaust note is a bit fruitier. Is there anything else I should add to this thing? differentiates?
The engine is in a slightly higher state of tune.
Only slightly though.
Only slightly, yeah.
Well, the majority of the power that you do have over the 75 is at the top end of the rev range as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
So you have to be a bit more committed to actually get it. I'm glad I come up for this junction actually. Come on, don't bog down.
The clutch takes no prisoners, shall we say?
Yeah, we'll say that.
Okay.
There's quite a sense of occasion in driving this though, I reckon. Although I prefer the 75, this just has a bit more, a bit of a edgy feel to it. Obviously it does have an edgier feel to it because it's a ZT, but I couldn't live with this every day. Are you satisfied by the amount of power this car has?
Yes, I am absolutely satisfied with the amount of power. I like the way that it's delivered. There are very few things about this car that I dislike in any way.
One of the things being is the driver.
At the moment, yeah.
Sounds good. Power. That's about as far as I want to take it, because that's enough. It's about nearly up to 5,000 RPM, and you still haven't quite got the kick that you're after. It's not slow.
No, it's not slow.
It's not slow, but there's no... For the amount of fuel that it uses up to do that, I would say it was reasonably disappointing.
That's actually, I completely understand why you would say that, and you could make an argument that this is a car that really fails to fall into one of two very distinct camps. Now, it's not an out-and-out sports car, it's just not, but neither is it an entirely relaxed Grand Tourer.
In summary, the ZT190 is, I know it's more than a tarted up Rover 75, but that's all it feels like. Sorry mate.
You don't get it, I understand that, and that's absolutely fine, but I can sum up this car.
Are you going to try and argue with my conclusion?
No, I'm going to
What are you doing then?
I'm offering an alternative conclusion. Now, I can sum up this car with one word, and I want you to listen carefully. Titty biscuits, right? This car is the epitome of titty biscuits. Everything about it. It's just, that's what it is. Now, you might ask, what's titty biscuits? What are you talking about, Boaty?
What's titty biscuits?
Well, think about it, right? You've got titties, they're great. You've got biscuits, they're lovely. Put them together, double loveliness. And that's what this car is. It's not binary, it's not this camp, it's not that camp, it's not A, it's not B. It's titty biscuits. It's every bit of loveliness that you could want. You just have to seek it out from within.
You've changed my mind. I had never considered titty biscuits as basically the answer to the this particular conundrum. Yeah.
This is what.
Why don't you? I wish you'd have said that before it started.
It's what the ZT has, and the 75 doesn't have.
Titty biscuits.
This has titty biscuits.
But right. Boaty's got this rather fabulous point about titty biscuits, which he has got a point with, but he's forgetting one thing that perhaps I never mentioned before, and that is that I indeed used to own a ZT190. I had it for over a year, and what did I think of that? About the same as this one. Sounded good, went reasonably well, drunk lots and lots of petrol, and felt like an uncomfortable Rover 75.
But you're just one person.
Yeah.
maybe you are just the sort of person who can't accept, who can't understand, who can't embrace titty biscuits. Maybe some people are like that. I actually feel that it creates its own little niche. It's a very confident car, and it doesn't feel the need to
have any real performance.
No, there is performance there. It performs exceptionally well. The figures on paper speak for themselves, and the driving experience is enthralling and engrossing, really quite addictive in many ways. But it's a car that doesn't feel the need to fit in, and it certainly doesn't need to fit into a very binary this or that. It's not a this or that car. It's a car that stands aside and says, I don't need to identify as this, and I don't require you to identify me as that. I'm me. I'm myself. I am my own thing. And if you want me, you'll take me for what I'm worth. And I like that very much. It endears me to the car. And familiarity can sometimes breed contempt. But with a car like this, familiarity very much breeds endearment. And the longer that you spend with a car like this, or this particular car, the more you will find yourself becoming inured in both what it is and what it is proud not to be. And that's probably the thing that I love about this car most. The things that it is proud not to be. And I share that pride. And I feel part of it. And that makes me feel proud. And it makes me feel worthwhile. And even, I'm going to say the word, fulfilled.
Fulfilled.
Yeah.
Interesting.